My daughter's voice was trembling. Mom, they cornered me. I can't get out. When I found her at the market, 6 older churchwomen were surrounding her like vultures, screaming at my 15-year-old baby about being a wicked child, and turning her back on family. They weren't strangers. They were sent by my ex-mother-in-law. What they didn't know is that I had proof, hundreds of pages of it, that would burn every lie my ex-in-laws told their church to the ground. And by the time I was finished, the entire congregation would be talking about them for all the wrong reasons. If you've ever dealt with manipulative in-laws, grab some popcorn, because justice in this story is served scalding hot. Make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment if you believe in standing up for your kids no matter the cost. Alright, let's dive in. My name is Emma. I'm 46, a widow, and a mom to 2 teenage girls, 17 and 15. And even though losing my ex-husband last year was hard in its own way, the real pain started before he died. Because he died cheating on me. He left behind 2 baby boys with his affair partner, a woman I never even knew existed until my daughters accidentally found the messages. They were the ones who discovered their father's secret family. The trauma of that moment is something they're still in therapy for. The affair partner died in the same accident he did, leaving those boys orphaned. And while I feel terrible for them, they are innocent. They are also a walking reminder of years of betrayal. My ex-in-laws? They blamed me and my daughters. For the divorce. For the distance. For everything. And after their son died, they began obsessively trying to wedge themselves into our lives. First, by filing a custody case for my daughters. And then by demanding to move into my house. You read that right, they wanted custody of my children. And then to live under my roof. The custody battle is ongoing. But them living with us? Not happening in any universe. This story really begins on my youngest daughter's birthday weekend. There's a big outdoor farmers market every Saturday. Fresh eggs, vegetables, meats, homemade pastries, and my daughter loves it. Since her actual birthday party was planned for later in the month, I gave her a little budget and said, "Go wild. Get whatever you want." She mostly bought chocolate. Typical 15-year-old. But after an hour, she hadn't come back. I wasn't panicking yet, but that familiar mom anxiety was creeping in. Right as I pulled out my phone to call her, she called me first, crying. "Mom, these women, these weird women, they won't let me leave." My blood iced. My eldest and I sprinted across the market, weaving through people, scanning every aisle. And then I saw them. 6 older churchwomen, all wearing that self-righteous, smug expression that only people convinced they're doing God's work can muster. And my daughter. Red-faced. Shaking. Tears streaming down her cheeks. Before I could even reach her, one woman jabbed her finger toward my child and hissed, "You're an unchristian girl. How dare you abandon your grandparents in their time of need?" Another chimed in. "You refuse to be a good sister to your poor orphaned baby brothers? Shameful." I felt something primal ignite inside me, that kind of fire that only burns when someone threatens your child. I stepped between them and my daughter. My voice was low, shaking with fury. "Back up." One of them sneered at me. Actually sneered. "Oh look, the mother. You're even worse. A good Christian wife obeys her husband's parents." Barf. I told my eldest, "Take your sister. Pay for her things. Go to the car." She didn't hesitate. Then I turned back to the women, who were now shouting loud enough that the vendors were staring. They kept yelling, calling me rebellious, cruel, unfaithful, selfish. I unleashed on them, calmly at first, then not so calmly, reminding them they had no right to corner a minor. Eventually security asked all of us to leave the market. These women followed me to the car like a pack of vultures, still yelling, still shaming my daughter, until I slammed the doors shut and drove off. My girls were shaken. And I was furious. That night, after the girls went to bed, I reached out to a guy from that same church, someone I'd always gotten along with. I told him what happened. He apologized, said he was embarrassed for them, and then said, "Emma, you need to see what your ex-mother-in-law posted in the church group." My stomach dropped. He sent screenshots. It was a long, dramatic, Oscar-worthy monologue. She wrote that my daughters and I were heartless monsters, that we were leaving her and her husband homeless and penniless, conveniently ignoring the fact that they inherited my ex's personal accounts and his life insurance. She claimed my daughters refused to speak to her, that we abandoned my ex's orphan sons, that we were selfish, cold, ungrateful. And then, the biggest lie of all. She told the entire church that the affair partner wasn't an affair at all. She claimed the woman was our surrogate, and that I rejected the babies because they were boys. I nearly threw my phone. Not only was that a disgusting lie, but this church. They're annoyingly conservative, and they are unbelievably strict about cheating. You cheat, you're out. You support cheating, you're tainted. So her story conveniently erased her son's infidelity and painted me as the villain. Hundreds of comments poured in, prayers, sympathy, people offering to bring meals, offering to pressure me into restoring the family. It was a pity party on steroids. And something in me snapped. If she wanted a war, I was going to give her one. Here's the thing. When my ex died, I was mid-divorce. And because the divorce hadn't gone through, I still had every piece of evidence. I had photos of him and the affair partner making out in our living room, text conversations between them, texts between him and his parents, confirming they knew about the cheating, messages of them encouraging him to stay with the affair partner, harassing messages from my ex-in-laws during the divorce. And the worst, messages where they called my daughters bastards and blamed them for their father's death, 2 days after he died. It was all there, sitting neatly in my files, waiting. I took the next day off work, walked into a print shop, and printed everything. In high resolution, glossy, color, beautiful clarity. Then I went home and spent hours assembling them into little binders. Binders designed to look exactly like the prayer booklets the church handed out every Sunday. I even titled the cover, Ex-Husband's Name, and Affair Partner's Name, A Love Story. The first page was a full-page photo of the two of them making out in my living room. Their faces visible. Her nothing like me, different hair, different skin tone. Impossible to confuse for a surrogate. I added captions, dates, messages, screenshots. It was a masterpiece of truth. And then, the final touch. At the bottom of the binder, in elegant script, I added, presented by the woman they tried to replace. I set my alarm early Sunday morning, went to the church before service, and placed the binders neatly on the back table, right where the hymn books usually go. Nobody checks them. People just grab and go. And then, I left. When the service started, my phone blew up. People were posting in the Facebook group faster than I could read. The comments were brutal. Words like adulterer, liar, fraud, Jezebel, and deceiver were thrown around so aggressively that the pastor had to intervene to calm everyone down. People were horrified that they'd been manipulated. Even more horrified at the way my daughters had been treated. I got multiple messages apologizing for the women who harassed my child at the market. 2 different members mailed apology letters addressed to my daughters. Someone even invited us to join the church because they wanted to support us. The irony. But the best part. My ex-in-laws were shamed out of the church. They left. Completely. Quietly. Humiliated. My ex-mother-in-law posted on her personal page afterward, complaining about being alienated, and about how no one cares for the elderly anymore. She even wrote, "If only my great son were alive, he would have taken care of me." With what money? Because I was the breadwinner. Their community, the one place where they had power, turned on them. Not because I lied. Not because I manipulated. But because I simply put the truth right in front of their eyes. For years they protected my cheating husband. They supported his affair. They bullied me and my daughters. And when he died, instead of healing, they doubled down. They weaponized their church, their reputation, their fake morality. And I took it all away with one stack of binders. My daughters feel safer now, freer, vindicated. And me. I sleep peacefully at night knowing one thing. Sometimes, you don't need to raise your voice. You just need to raise the truth. In life, people will twist stories, play the victim, and hide behind religion, reputation, or age. But truth doesn't disappear. It waits. And when you finally reveal it, the fallout speaks for itself. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story of justice served perfectly, hit that like button and subscribe for more. And tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen? I'd love to read your stories. Until next time, stay sharp, stay kind, and never let anyone rewrite your story.